Spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Welcome, everybody, to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. This is Ginny Gunther, also known as Ginny Almighty, and I'll be your host tonight, too, along with Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Phone lines are now open at 602-666-6027. That's 602-666-6027.
Taking your phone calls from around the world and right here in the U.S. Welcome, everybody. This is Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Achieve Radio, or as we like to say, Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. We're so happy you're here with us again this week, maybe for the first time. Come one, come all. Happy to have everybody here, and thrilled to have Dr. Carolyn Dean with us again for 2 hours on Monday evening. It is absolutely, positively the most therapeutic 2 hours of radio, I think, anywhere on the planet. I know people love to watch Oprah and all the other business, but I'm telling you, between the compassion of Dr. Dean, the power of her formulas, the intent of her wisdom, and the experience that she has, combined with her general vibe and frequency of goodness, I don't think you can do a more powerful thing for yourself than to listen to this show, use her formulas, follow her advice, heed her words, and just hang in there and just enjoy glorious recovery from health. And that's what we hear every single week in, week out. We do hear people who say it's not working for me, and we always say yet. And it will, so you've got to hang in there. But for the most part, the amount of testimonials that come pouring in to our customer service lines and our radio shows is just absolutely phantasmagorical. And that's because of Dr. Dean. So clearly, hands down, no questions about it. Not only is she a medical doctor, but she's also a naturopath, an herbalist, an acupuncturist, a nutritionist, an intuitive, a lecturer, consultant, author, inventor, and capitalist. That's right. And I got to tell you, what she's done is she's so cool. She does this stuff. She tries it out on herself. She decides whether it's worthy of her praise and her own purchase. And then when companies quit making the stuff that she loves, she just buys the company, changes the formula, improves it even more, writes a big old book about it, and sends it out to the masses and says, no, nobody's going to stop me from feeling awesome, even if I have to buy the company myself. That's who Carolyn Dean is. We're so happy to have her with us this evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Welcome, Dr. Carolyn Dean. Are you there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Yes. Sorry, you got me so choked up I didn't even put my mute button off. So, yes, thank you. Yeah, that was a great lead-in, actually, to our Restructure formula, because that's actually exactly what happened with Restructure. But we'll get to that in a minute. I guess, our ordinary, lineup is to do your blog, my blog, and then miscellaneous mailbag that I know we won't get to otherwise. But let's do my blog first, because Ginny's blog is about the Restructure formula that we're going to be releasing in the next month. and it is pretty exciting. The blog I did last week, because I was very busy writing the Restructure book, so I didn't do a lot of blogging, but I did one called Elderly Hospital Patients Arrive Sick and Leave Disabled. Now, this was a actual Medscape article. Someone wrote a commentary. They allowed it in Medscape, and it's pretty, I don't know, it's a big expose, I would say. They disabled the comments on the article pretty quickly. And it really does speak to what many of us see going on in the hospital assembly line. And what they're saying, they're giving examples in this article of people who go into hospital, end up getting infected or having the wrong medication, wrong surgery done, et cetera, and it's a worthy read. My blog and going to the article itself, you can just join Medscape for free and read any of these articles I talk about. And one story that I put in the blog, and I had it on my list to talk about today, but I see it here in the blog. This is from the daughter of a 95-year-old mom who was having serious blood pressure issues February 2016. She'd been taking 2 blood pressure medications, but in February her blood pressure shot up, so the doctor added more of the medication. It didn't help, so they added more medication. And of course, my question is, when drugs aren't working, it amazes me that the doctor doesn't question the fact that the drugs aren't working, but just adds more drugs. I mean, it's a crazy system. It doesn't make any sense, and it would not make any sense in any other profession. So then in March 2016, she started her mom on some magnesium glycinate, and after a while the blood pressure began to lower. Finally, June 1st, she slowly started Remag until she built up to a teaspoon per week. And she did her magnesium RBC test. It was really low even after all that magnesium, but you're going to get, anyway, I don't like to put down other magnesiums, but the Remag is going to give you much more cellular absorption, that's for sure, and her magnesium RBC levels will probably start to increase much faster. So what's happened is the daughter said what the Remag has done for her blood pressure is a miracle. She has slowly gotten off all of one of her drugs, and her blood pressure is 130/74, which is just totally excellent for a 95-year-old. And she's going to see about getting off the other one. So I'm just saying this is such an awesome testimonial for what we can do with the elderly, what we've come to think is going to happen to us as we get older is that we're just going to end up sick on medications with tubes stuck through all our orifices. And I begin the blog by saying you'll be shocked to learn that in most developed countries, the chronological age of 65 is the definition of being elderly. So you've all heard it. Anyone who's of that age, when you go to the doctor and say this, that, and the other, they say, oh, well, it is your age after all. So if a 95-year-old, after decades of taking 2 blood pressure drugs, can take Remag and lower their blood pressure in a couple of months, then there's hope for all of us. And that's why I wrote that blog, is to say, it is up to us. And I got a really sweet email from from a reader who says, I hear you and always have. I'm now 91 and active. How did this happen? I've spent years exercising, running, doing weight machines and treadmills. I don't smoke. I have 1 glass of wine daily, and I'm following you by adding magnesium to my diet. I have good eating habits. I drink lots of water, keep my mind active. She says, I take one med. It looks like a thiazide diuretic. Hypothiazide, 75 micrograms for low thyroid. Lots of vitamins, and life is good. Keep on keeping on with your work, and I hope folks will respond. So, I mean, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to hear from people. And, Jenny, I don't know if I've asked, do people on customer service phone up and comment on the blog? I mean, do you get, feedback kind of like what I get occasionally with my emails?
Sometimes we do, yeah. Sometimes we do, and they quote and make comments about the blog, yeah, or ask about different things that you've said.
Right. I guess if it draws them to ask a question, they would mention it. So then we come to Ginny's blog, and okay, so I'll go to that. The Magnesium and Protein Miracle. So what this highlights is the fact that we are bringing out it's a meal replacement product. It's not just a protein product. What I'm interested in is balance in all things. It's not just a high-protein diet or a high-fat ketogenic diet or a low-carb diet. Let's just use what God and nature intended, which is protein, carbohydrates, and fat. We've overemphasized carbohydrates for the past number of decades, so that's why there's this big swing to the high-protein paleo diets. All these diets, when they go off the balance point, do require more minerals. I mean, the less carbohydrates in the form of fruits and vegetables that you eat, the more minerals you have to take in as supplements, because fats and proteins don't have the minerals. So what we've got with this blog that Ginny's written is some very good information. She's saying magnesium plays many important roles in the structure and function of the human body. The adult human body contains about 25 grams of magnesium, so it's 25,000 milligrams. Over 60% is in the bones and teeth, 27% is in muscle, and that's why those are the two major areas that are affected. 6 to 7% in other cells, less than 1% is found outside the cells. And you may wonder, what is magnesium doing in all these places? Well, it turns out that magnesium is not only producing necessary enzymes, that 700 to 800 enzyme processes that it works through and on and triggers and turns on and off, but it's working in the mitochondria to make ATP. It's also necessary for protein synthesis at the ribosomal level. The ribosomes are the cellular organelles where proteins are synthesized, and ribosomes do their work in the mitochondria where ATP energy is made. Now, here's there's a number of things here. So the ribosomes in the mitochondria are making the protein. And what I wrote about in the Magnesium Miracle book, I tried to follow up and find out if there was any more information from this study. But in 2012, researchers found that 27% of the human sequences studied, 3,751 out of 13,689, carried magnesium binding sites. So this is protein. The structure of protein has magnesium binding sites, which means magnesium binds into these proteins as the protein is being created. So there's a a requirement of magnesium for making protein. And what I realized when Ginny's writing about the mitochondria, holding the ribosomes, and making the protein, and the mitochondria making the ATP as well, many people have heard me say over and over that in making ATP in the Krebs cycle, in the mitochondria, 6 out of the 8 steps in the Krebs cycle require magnesium. So there's a heck of a lot of magnesium in the mitochondria where it's needed to be making the ATP and to be making the protein. So it's the best place for everything to occur that has to do with magnesium. And a figure that I found from some geek site says that the human body uses about 200 to 300 moles of ATP a day. And 1 mole contains 6 times 10 to the 23rd molecules. That's 6 with 23 zeros after it. It's just unfathomable the amount of ATP that the human body uses. And, just a sidebar, that means that your magnesium is being used to make this ATP. When people say, well, can I just take a bunch of magnesium, get my stores up, and then I don't have to take it again? No. You're continually using up your magnesium, and you continually need to replace it. So then further on about protein and magnesium, magnesium activates the amino acids involved in protein formulation, allowing messenger RNA to attach to the ribosomes. Magnesium is also found in the nucleus of the cell and is essential for the stability of the nucleic acids, RNA and DNA. If DNA and RNA structure do not remain stable, you may have mutations in the codes, the RNA-DNA coding, and produce incorrect peptides. Energy for the production of proteins must come from ATP as well. We talked about that. Without magnesium, in many areas of the cell, protein synthesis cannot occur. And that was from a government website. So getting perfect pure magnesium and perfect whole protein together is magical for our bodies in many ways.
Hey, Carolyn.
Yeah, Bob.
What you just read, is that taught in med school?
Yeah, I just said it was from a government website. People know this.
Yeah, but is it taught? Since nobody knows about magnesium in regular medicine.
Good point. Yeah, probably not taught. Probably not.
Is that a new statement?
Don't know. Ginny found it. Ginny wrote this. You'll have to interrogate Ginny later about this.
Okay, Ginny, later.
So now we go to Restructure. Just like Ginny said, I've been using this protein powder for decades. Bob, maybe you can tell us. Do you remember when we first started using the Provide protein powder up in Canada?
I remember it at 122 Ellsworth. Do you?
No, I don't remember anything. Yeah, that's why you're
okay, we've been using it for almost 30 years. We were using it.
Yeah, and it went through it used to have egg protein in it, and it used Amish eggs, and then they were no longer readily available, so the formula was changed in a sort of a second generation to a whey protein. And then when the folks that had the second generation company decided to retire, that was it. It was going to be gone. So like Ginny said, I bought the formula and, kind of just in out of respect and appreciation for what these people had done for so many years, creating this incredible protein powder. And they called it a meal replacement as well because, as I said, it's not just protein. And what we did with this powder was add some extra lysines, which is a very important amino acid, and added the dried powder of RNA drops. So when people get their Restructure, they'll be getting their RNA drops in that form as well. And when I wrote the Restructure booklet, and anyone on the call today can email customer service support at rnareset.com, and we'll send you a free copy of the Restructure book. And it's I go into protein, but in the first part I describe what Restructure is, and always going to the whole complement formula protocol, because if you look at what we're doing with the complement formulas, we've got the protein, carbohydrates, fats, minerals, vitamins, probiotics, prebiotics. So in the protein, the Restructure has whey, pea, and rice powders. So there's a dairy product, the whey, but it's as you'll read in the booklet, it's lactose-free and has minimal to no casein. So it should not aggravate people. But we've said before, we put out the money to order 20,000 individual packets of Restructure so that people could buy a couple of packets. You can try the packets, and if they're suitable for your sensitivity, then you can buy the whole canister, because I'm not going to get into the process of returning canisters because you're too sensitive to it. That's just not reasonable. So you can order an individual packet, try it out, and see if the whey, pea, and rice powders are okay for you. The carbohydrates in Restructure are tapioca and the pea and rice powder. They provide some carbs. There are fats in there from flaxseed, marine algae oil, and there's fats from the whey powder as well. The minerals in Restructure, there's some silica and dozens of minerals in trace amounts in the various ingredients. And as part of our complement formula, of course, our Remag has magnesium, our Remite has 12 minerals. The vitamins in Restructure, there's a vitamin C complex from acerola berries. It gives you the RDA of vitamin C, which is low, of course, but it still gives you a food-based vitamin C. And it also has dozens of vitamins in trace amounts within all the Restructure components. And of course our Realign has methylated B vitamins. The probiotics and prebiotics in Restructure are tapioca, inulin, and the RNA drops has prebiotics and probiotics. So it's always amazed me how the formulas that we're using in the complement protocols all kind of interweave and create a very nice balance for people. And what I know is going to happen with Restructure is a lot of very important cell production, even regeneration. What made me think of talking about this today is a question that came in, and I don't know if the person was thinking about Ginny's blog, but this gentleman said, will the kidneys regenerate themselves after being on pico magnesium if they have failed? And what advice would you give someone that is on PD, I think he means peritoneal dialysis, and Remag? And what I've always said about the kidneys is they absolutely require magnesium. This business about the kidneys, if there's any level of kidney failure, that you should not take magnesium. And I think that might have happened at some point when a person in kidney failure was given high doses of intravenous magnesium, and their kidneys couldn't clear it all, and magnesium built up in the bloodstream. So it's not something that's going to happen to people on Remag because it's a low-dose magnesium. It's well absorbed in the cells. It doesn't build up up in the bloodstream. And all you have to do is Google and my name and kidneys and find out what I have to say about it in detail. I do write about the kidneys in my Remag booklet as well. I have an article in Natural News called Kidney Disease Requires Magnesium. So I've spent a lot of time on it. I know it's mostly a half-truth about magnesium in kidneys, and it is really affecting a lot of people in a negative way, this information. I have people on peritoneal dialysis. One woman is being very proactive. She does her serum magnesium. She can only get the serum test from her doctors. Serum magnesium before and after her peritoneal dialysis, and lo and behold, her magnesium level crashes after her dialysis treatment. And that's because the liquid they use to run through the kidneys and flush out the toxins has too little magnesium in it. So it just pulls whatever magnesium you have out. And this woman, she's a health professional herself, and she says everybody on dialysis is suffering from heart palpitations and leg cramps and all kinds of other magnesium deficiency symptoms, yet they're being told to avoid magnesium. And maybe the poorly absorbed magnesiums, maybe that is going to be a problem for them, but she's been doing extremely well on Remag, and she's just thrilled that she no longer has heart palpitations and leg cramps. So when people ask me, as this gentleman did, are the kidneys going to regenerate with Pico Mag, just the Remag? No, you also require the Remite for the other minerals to heal the tissues of the kidneys. I think you require Realign to help with detoxification, RNA drops to make perfect cells, and now the Restructure will give you the protein building blocks and a balanced meal replacement so that you can start building your new cells under the direction of your magnesium and your RNA drops, or your RNA powder in the Restructure. And I know people are going to ask us, Ginny, well, if I take the Restructure and I get my RNA there, will I need to take the drops? And if you can take both, take both. Why not take as much of a good thing as you can? That's what I would say. I would take both. And another kind of similar question along the line of regeneration. Someone is asking, I'm wondering if there's any help for incontinence. I've had 3 operations and tried every miracle cure on the market with no help. I do take your Remag, but really need a miracle in this situation. It keeps me at home, unable to live life fully. Is there any help for my situation? I am a female, 83 years old. I eat healthy. I walk every day. I live alone, and I have no need of help, outside help. So she's fully independent and incontinent. Now, what we have heard from people before, an older woman I recall right away who said after a few months on Remag, she felt that the Remag dissolved calcification in her bladder and urethra so that her bladder came back and she was no longer incontinent. I would think, yes, the Remag at therapeutic levels, 2 and 3 teaspoons a day. I'd also go to the whole complement protocol. The other minerals are going to be necessary, some detox, and RNA drops to rebuild, whatever bladder cells have been compromised or irritated. And I guess one more diet question I'll take. A person is wondering if a ketogenic diet places a higher demand for magnesium on the body. Now, I really don't know that much about ketogenic diets. I just know it's a high-fat diet where instead of high protein, it's some protein but mostly fats and low carb. So it's really quite out of balance, and what it does is create ketones in the body where the body is burning off the fat to create the ketones to give the body energy instead of getting the energy from carbs. So it's off balance right from the get-go, so I'm not that keen on it. And when I just did a quick Google, some doctors saying that the electrolytes, sodium, magnesium, and potassium are often underestimated on low-carb diets. A low-carb expert and scientific researcher, Dr. Volek, V-O-L-E-K, suggests that mineral and electrolyte management is the key to avoiding side effects typically associated with low-carb dieting. They call it the keto flu, where you just feel woozy and flu-ish when you're on this diet. Doesn't sound very exciting. So anything that's off balance means a person is going to require more minerals in order to put you back in balance. I don't know how much more to say about it. If people do these diets on the short term, they can throw off their electrolytes, and reading my Remag and Remite books will help you decide how to get your electrolytes, get more potassium in potassium broth, get your calcium in bone broth or in dairy products, or soon, I hope, in our Recalcio formula. So I'll clear my throat, Ginny, and let you take over for a few minutes.
Excellent. No problem. All right. We are live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Achieve Radio. Thank you, Carolyn, for a great introduction. And, yes, if you want the Restructure book, just email support, SUPPORT, at RNAreset.com. We'll be happy to send it along to you. Also, if you want to talk to Dr. Dean tonight, which I highly suggest, I encourage so many people to talk to her because there's a valuable exchange, not just of information, but of energy with Dr. Dean. She's a great intuitive. She's got amazing insights. And a lot of times people say, oh, I've been taking the Remag, or I've been taking this, and my AFib still bothers me, and this and that. And I'm like, look, you've got to get the AFib book. You've got to follow the protocol. You've got to be diligent with what you're doing. You've got to be consistent every single day with your supplementation. You've got to keep a journal or notice somehow when your AFib does get triggered so you can remove the triggers, whether it's stress, caffeine, alcohol, whatever. And you should talk to Dr. Dean on a weekly basis. People who call in and talk with Carolyn seem to get the better results, I think, because it is that exchange of energy and information is very important. And you feel supported. I mean, it's a lonely world, and people who don't feel well feel even more lonely. Sometimes they don't feel understood. And Carolyn is one of the few people I know who will actually listen to people, when they're calling and expressing themselves and saying what's going on with them. So definitely encourage you. Now, if you want to talk to Dr. Dean, 602-666-6027 is the phone number. And then when you call in, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad, *5, to raise your hand in the studio, and then we'll put you on the line with her. You can also ask questions through the chat line as well, and we'll get to those questions. I want to ask this question really quick, Carolyn, and then we're going to take some phone calls. How does that sound?
Yes, I'm here. Very good.
Okay. Carolyn, when the Restructure is available, can people stop taking the Prescript Assist? Is it redundant?
Oh, well, yes. Good question. I think you have to figure that out for yourself. I know I'm still taking prescriptive assist, even though I'm on a lot of RNA drops, and I never thought of stopping my prescriptive assist. But you may find if you're on your RNA drops and Restructure that you're getting enough prebiotic and probiotic, especially if you've taken some time to add sauerkraut and some fermented foods to your diet. So, yeah, that's a good question. It would be nice if people didn't have to take so many things, but you'll have to decide for yourself. I know recently we tried to move to another probiotic just to test it out, and I found I needed, 4 of this new probiotic compared to 1 prescriptive assist, so I decided, well, I'll just stay with the prescriptive assist. So I guess that's as much of an answer as I can give for that.
Okay. And Cecilia just typed in and said, could Dr. Dean explain what she means by a meal replacement? Didn't you say that, though, Carolyn? I don't know. Did you?
Yeah. Meal replacement means that you can take a portion of Restructure and replace a meal with it. That's all.
Right. It's just
a meal.
Like instead of having a crappy English muffin and a piece of fruit for breakfast, which is really a sum zero form of nutrition, which a lot of people do. They have some kind of muffin and fruit, and then just got fructose and grainy fructose going into their system. You can actually do the Restructure, the protein content, the carbs, the supplementation of all the nutrients, and also the RNA drops powder, the iCell powder itself, are going to be bamity 1,000 times better. You should probably just plan on having it for breakfast as far as I'm concerned, but I'm prejudiced. And also my significant other, Greg, who, I've been living with now for 6 years, definitely has way too good and has used it for years. And like Carolyn, he loved it and had it, and we've been testing the Restructure as it's been in its process of manufacture, and it's quite delicious. So, I think.
Yes, and the other things about it, I guess we haven't really plumbed the depths. It can be used on a yeast-free diet, for example, and it's low calories, so it can be used for weight loss. Because it is well-absorbed proteins, it can be used in bodybuilding or by athletes, and it could be just the amount that you use. I think one serving is 10 grams of protein and 80 calories, and I'd have to look at 80 calories and 10 grams of protein. And when you compare it with others, you may say, oh, well, this protein powder has 20 grams, but you end up looking at the doses, and you're just going to have to take more of it to get the 20 grams. So I think a lot of the powders out there are similar. How Restructure differs is because it is not just a protein powder, it's a balance. It does have the RNA drops. It does have the extra lysine for the value that lysine is going to give us in the new environment. And I think one of the things that has been overlooked in the diet world and kind of the leaky gut world, and everyone's focused on probiotics, is nobody's really talking about, well, how are our proteins getting absorbed? Are we really able to digest the proteins that are in our diet and what's happening to them? And I think what you'll find with the Restructure is that you're getting really good absorption of your meal. You're feeling satisfied. It's not upsetting you. It's just sitting well with you, staying with you longer. And I think I said it in the book, and I may have said it on the show, that I intend to take my Restructure and use it for at least 3 days a month as sort of a mini fast so that, my body has the nutrients, but, I'm not tempted by a lot of fruit or sugars or, I'm not having to spend my whole day trying to make food that's tempting and tasty. I'm just going to have a little break, do a Restructure break for at least 3 days a month. So I'm really excited. It's being shipped out, I think, today to the warehouse. So we'll be vetting it, putting it in the in the warehouse. We have to wait for our individual packets because, like I said, we're not going to be accepting return canisters. We've done an end run on that. You can buy a couple of individual packets and try it, and then if you buy a whole canister, then you either finish it yourself or give it to someone. You're not going to return it to me. Right, Ginny?
That is correct, amundo abuffo. Yes, that's exactly right. That's the way we're running things. We may sound like we've got our big girl pants on, and we do, but some days it's like, hey, y'all, this is just Carolyn and I and a handful of people doing this. Can't be running back and forth returning things like we're working at Amazon. So, yes, no, we, like you said, we did the good thing with this one for sure. Also, Carolyn, just talk for one little minute because we haven't even gotten recipes yet. I mean, we're going to be getting. I know the warehouse staff is all ready to put their little recipes together in customer service. Maybe cut a banana into it, or maybe you make it with something else, or it's vanilla flavored, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And I just mix mine with water. I haven't done much more with that. And in the booklet, I tell people you can mix it with unsweetened almond milk or coconut water, or I don't really go into much detail, but that's something that we can ask our customers about. How do you mix your current protein powder, and just use those suggestions. We'll do a Facebook thing on it, I guess.
Yeah, because we made it, Carolyn, developed the formula for people who had digestive issues, 100%, no doubt about it. But we also have a lot of customers who are into fitness, and I'm going to get my little fitness trainer to use some. And, he likes to put peanut butter and all kinds of stuff because, of course, he's trying to load up on stuff. He's a bodybuilder, like a real big bodybuilder. So, it's not limited. And when we say the great thing of the samples was we tried it with water to make sure it was going to fly, just with water, But if you want to spruce it up, you can definitely spruce it up, and it'll be even more, satisfying and more of a quote-unquote meal.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you can do anything with it. Yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited. And as you said in the outset, I just couldn't see this wonderful recipe just getting forgotten, just being buried. So I'm really glad we were able to get a hold of it. And it did take a while. These things take time. The whole product industry has really spruced itself up. Because what takes the time these days is they test everything.
Yep.
Everything is, certificate of analysis on every ingredient, certificate of analysis on the product as it's being made. 3 different tests are done. So it's really important to know that about your products, that they're well tested for everything, heavy metals, contaminants, and tested for what's supposed to be in the in the formula as well. So, we're very fortunate that our manufacturers pay attention to all that.
Yeah. And then, by the way, not every company does that. We know that, but this is, we're talking about Dr. Dean's formulas. The stuff you're going to get from Walmart, that's when you have to get to your consumer reports people or whatever, but stuff that's coming from Dr. Dean has been highly tested and vetted, and we've done site visits to all the plants, and it's pretty intense. So yeah, last year we're kind of funny looking back on it because we wanted to get Restructure out the door in time for New Year's, and when everybody wants to go on a diet, right, Carolyn? Remember that?
Oh, that's right. So much for that, right?
Well, we'll have it in time for this New Year's, but it's going to be awesome. You guys are just going to be so excited. It's going to be so convenient and good and scrummy and healthy for you. You're just really, it's cool. And plus, you can just buy a couple packets. So,
for travel. Seriously. For decades, I've had to, make plastic baggies of my protein powder when I travel, and this is just going to be so convenient.
Yeah. Everybody's really going to enjoy it. So we'll get recipes and suggestions and things. We'll have a lot of fun with this, everybody. Okay, so speaking of fun, talking to Dr. Dean is a blast, too. So we're going to put some people on the phone with her tonight. Let's go out to the great state of California. Area code 805, you're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, this is Sherry in Ventura, the firefighter.
Hi, Sherry.
I'm sorry there's so many fires in California. That's horrible. What can I do for you, Sherry? Yes.
I am just calling with an update. I have looked on my calendar, and it is 2 fabulous years that I have been introduced to you, Dr. Carolyn, Bob, Jenny, and Ion, and everybody else, and my life couldn't be better. I'm just... it could be better if I was retired from firefighting.
Yes.
That's the only way that it could be better. You guys have so much information. You share all your information for free, and I just can't believe not everybody's on Remag, Relight, all the completement formulas. I take them all. I feel great. I go and play with kids in the ocean, and the parents are out on the sand watching me, rolling around on the sand, taking wave after wave. And yes, I am tired when I'm all done, but I am able to do it, and I have a great time doing it. I have to work out hard every day. My husband and I, in basically 90-degree weather yesterday, went mountain biking for 2 hours. I came home and was still able to make dinner and do everything, and I had a great night's sleep, woke up, and went swimming today. So I feel good. I don't know how good I look, but I feel good. And, I wish more. I tell people about not everybody. I wait and see what kind of person they are, if they take care of themselves, and I tell them about your product, and I'm shocked that they get another a magnesium product, or they don't even go on these products, because I feel so good, and it just blows me away. I don't have, before I took your product, I had my eyelid would twitch, and I'm like, why the heck is my eyelid twitching? And lack of magnesium. I could go on and on about all the different benefits I've had, and I just wanted to give you an update and thank you all so much for all that you do. And look, now you're coming out with Restructure. I can't wait for this protein powder. I'm going to jump on it and utilize it, because everything else I've taken from you has made me feel young again.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, thank you, Sherry. And don't worry, it's about whosoever will. We're doing this for. Yeah, good. Yeah, we're doing this for ourselves, and we're having a great time. And thank goodness, some people are getting better and being healthier, and that's all that counts.
Well, we're
happy.
Sad point is that my kids don't take it, because it's at the house, and that's the only, I don't worry, but I'm sad. I'm like, okay, that's, your choice. We do make choices in life, and
well, sometimes what happens there is they'll go through some sort of, heaven forbid, injury or crisis, and they'll come to you, and you'll say, "Oh yeah, here, take it," and then they're in. You can't. What is it? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But we thank you for your appreciation, Sherry. We appreciate you too.
Oh well, thank you so much. You and your husband are just awesome. It was as much information as you constantly read and share with us is just above and beyond, and I appreciate it so much. I just really want you to know that.
Thank you, Sherry. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Bob.
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry. So sweet. Thank you. So wonderful. Oh, that was sweet. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Achieve Radio. 602-666-6027 is the phone number to call. Question or comment for Dr. Dean this evening, you've got to hit star 5 on your keypad. We'll raise your hand in the studio and let me know you have a question and comment, and I'll put you on the phone with Dr. Dean, like our good friend up there in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're going to area code 269. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, my name is Terry Barrett, and I just also want to thank Dr. Dean. I ran across her, I don't believe in accidents, but it was last Tuesday. On Wednesday, I ordered the Remite Remag, Align, and RNA. I'd never heard of these products, and a magnesium that worked. I'd been taking a lot of other kinds of magnesiums for AFib and some other muscle issues, cramping, and that so on. My question for Dr. Dean tonight, though, is I believe I probably have yeast overgrowth along with the magnesium deficiency, and I have oregano oil, grapefruit seed extract, and some other things that I'm taking now. I was told I could eat sugar by an acupuncturist who was doing muscle testing, and this has restarted this whole growth of candida again. And you say to do those things, which is good, and I'm going to keep doing those. But in the meantime, I'm having a hard time digesting my food. And you say to eliminate hard-to-digest foods that stress the digestive system, and I'm not 100% sure which ones those would be.
Well, it's individual, Terry. It's kind of what you do with your food diary. Is if you eat something and find you're burping it. I mean, a lot of fatty foods, people will burp those, or just with dairy products, you could be getting mucus. So you have to assess how you feel with different foods, and sometimes it's just eating small, frequent meals, chewing really well, no liquids with the meals, let your stomach acid and digestive juices work without a lot of liquids diluting them. Some people will do a couple of teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in water before a meal. That might be too much for another person. You might get a digestive pill. Pardon me, Terry?
I tried the apple cider vinegar, and it really caused me a lot of burning.
Right. So then that's not for you. So you would go to a digestive enzyme, but the better ones are the ones that have some hydrochloric acid in them, because most digestive enzymes, enzymes means pancreatic enzymes, so they're not necessarily going to have the hydrochloric acid. Now, I'm just looking up what enzymes I use.
Has HCI in it.
It does have some betaine HCl, and that can be helpful. And really, personally, I've never really found a digestive enzyme that really worked. What really seems to work is is cutting back the size of the meal, chewing it really well, because in your mouth you have digestive enzymes. You know, you only have to chew a piece of bread for a minute or so and realize it starts tasting sweet to know that you have enzymes in your mouth that break down the glycogen molecules in bread, break them down into sugars. So there's a lot you can do just by, I don't know if you got a hold of my Future Health Now encyclopedia, but I have a lot of information in there about digestion. So some people will say to me, well, gosh, just by stopping drinking liquids with my meals, I'm now digesting better. And, you know, it's too bad your acupuncturist said that about the sugar because, you know, muscle testing or whatever they did, it doesn't give you the full spectrum of what your body wants. And down deep in the large intestine and working up into the small intestine, these yeast organisms, they feed off undigested food. So the more you can chew your food, the more you can get it digested higher up, the better it is, and then the yeast won't get fed. Oh, and we're at the top of the hour. Hang on, Terry, if you want to ask more questions.
We'll be back with Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginny Gunther, after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Describe the words you know regarding amino acids and our process of ascension. We are trying to get to the marriage supper of the Lamb.
What happens in the blood is you require protein carriers for different things through the blood.
Protein carriers in the blood segue through basically the essence of lysine to change the way that the molecules or the specific gravity of how blood is. If you change its molecular specific gravity, you change how it flows. It's the blood that gives you strength from day to day, and it will never lose its power. The methylation, but it changes the specific, the outcome of the methylation changes the specific gravity of blood. When you start spinning out patients who have been ingesting RNA drops, the specific gravity of their blood will change.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
We return now live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with your host, Ginny Gunther, here on AchieveRadio.com. Skype us at ar.call.in. That's ar.call.in.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We're here talking with Terry and also bringing Dr. Dean back on the line here for Hour 2. Also, just wanted to let you know, for all these people who are emailing me like crazy this evening, to get their copy of the Restructure book, you can also get it on our blog. Just go to blog.rnareset.com. It'll be the first entry, Restructure, Complement Formula to Reset Your Body. You can download it from the blog as well. All right, Carolyn, you're back on.
I am back on. Terry, are you back on?
I am, yes. Thank you.
I just ranted on there for a minute or two, but I went and looked. I use the Now brand, NOW brand, super enzymes. It's the only one of the few that has pancreatic enzymes and hydrochloric acid. And what I do with that is just take one or two at the end of a high-protein meal for digestion. If it's a fat digestion problem, it's difficult to find enzymes for fat digestion. Standard Process has one called Cholacol, CHOLACOL, Standard Process. Let me just make sure that's the right spelling.
Question.
Yes, Terry.
What my husband and I have been doing is buying organic, non-GMO beans, and we've been eating a lot more beans because another thing that I went through was the blood type thing. That was another acupuncturist that I went to. And so my blood type supposedly was no protein or not a lot of protein. So I was getting proteins through beans. Now, beans don't normally bother me. What you said before about eating small meals and chewing and no liquid, that really resonates with me because I must not be absorbing because I feel hungry all the time, and so I eat more than I should. But I am wondering about the protein. For a while I did paleo because when I was eating meat and vegetables, I felt much better, but I was super constipated, but I think that was probably the magnesium deficiency going on.
Right, exactly. And so what is your blood type, Terry? A, B?
Yeah, it's A negative, I think.
Yeah, well, I certainly know about the blood type diet. I'm an O, so I need the protein, and when I try to be vegetarian, it doesn't go well with me. But if you follow Dr. D'Adamo, the son, the father started it way back when I was starting out in my practice, and it made a lot of sense. But then you'll see the son, he'll kind of waffle around saying, well, some people are kind of AOs and some people are OAs. So it all fell apart, to a certain extent, where you should eat what you feel better on. If, beans are very hard to digest and, they can cause a lot of gas. They can bind up minerals, but at the same time, if you are digesting them, they're a good food. But if you're replacing all your protein with beans, that's probably, not great for you. Do a paleo with lots of vegetables and some beans and take more magnesium is what I would do.
I'm going to definitely stay on the Remag because I actually honestly feel better from just a few doses. I can tell that something is happening as opposed to months and months and months of two different, and I'm not knocking acupuncture at all, but I'm just saying nothing was happening. The supplements they were giving me, I was still going into AFib about once a week, once every 2 weeks. And so I had, like I said, I thought magnesium in the back of my mind a long time ago, but I was not taking the right kind of magnesium, and that's when, thankfully, the good Lord brought me to you. I was actually looking up someone else's book on AFib, and I found you, and I started to listen to you, and what you said made sense, complete sense to me. So, I told everybody else, I'm sorry, I can't do you anymore. I want to try this course and see if it's successful, and if it isn't, then we'll start over, but I need to try it. So
and we've had that feedback over and over again where people know they need the magnesium, but then they just can't find the one where they can get high enough therapeutic doses without the laxative effect to make a difference. And there is something about this Remag at 60,000 parts per million that is so concentrated, nobody else comes near it. And when you take it, it just goes right into the cells and it goes to work. So it's and we've heard that many times. Even after a couple of doses, people feel the benefits. Or, we'll have people who'll say, I'm only taking a quarter teaspoon and already I feel better. So, yeah, I appreciate your comments. And, yes, just continue to use your common sense about your diet, and you'll sort things out. And rotate.
Is going to help immensely.
Yes. And rotate your oregano oil and grapefruit seed extract and those things so that the diet is very important. I mean, sugar feeds these guys. You cannot play around with sugar. Maybe we'll get to the point where, we're with the RNA drops and everything where we can deal with that sugar, but what we're trying to do is keep the sugar from getting to the lower intestines and feeding the yeast. So that means you either don't eat it or you're sure that your body's digesting it and not leaving it over for the yeast.
Okay. How about sprouted grain breads? Like I eat Ezekiel. I try not to eat too much. I cut, if it's an English muffin, I cut it in half and have that with an egg or whatever. That doesn't seem to bother me too much, especially in the morning. It's later on in the day when my body starts to fall apart in the digestion area.
Right. So, so basically with things that aren't on a yeast-free diet, you just have a meal of them early in the day, but only every 3 days, and that way they don't build up. Where you fall off the wagon is where you say, oh, I did okay on this, and then you eat it again the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. You have to get in the habit of rotating these things so that your body doesn't build up. I mean, that kind of goes for allergies where you eat the same thing every day and you can develop a little bit of sensitivity to it. And it's not true allergy. What it is your body is not breaking the food down completely. Some of the undigested food is absorbed through a leaky gut, and then the body kind of develops a sensitivity to it.
Well, won't the things that I'm taking, though, the Remite, the Remag, the Realign, and the RNA, won't that eventually help all that?
Yes, it will. We've had many people tell us that their allergies and their yeast and their aches and pains and everything kind of disappear as the immune system takes over, because we're designed to be perfect. So that's why we talk about the completement formulas where we complete ourselves. And yes, that's what you have to look forward to. And you'll phone back and let us know that how perfect your body is. Okay?
I will. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help, and thanks for being available.
Thank you, Terry. Bye-bye now.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Lovely call. Very good questions. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Let's go to more phone calls. Carolyn, going to the great state, North Carolina, area code 919. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Yes, hi, my name is Karen. I am just a newbie. I've recently discovered the Remag products and the Remite products. I'm 34 years old, and I recently was told that I have low thyroid T3 levels. I'm okay on the T4, I guess, but something in the conversion isn't really happening, and I was told that I had low magnesium and some, mercury in my system, I guess not super high, but that I was under the understanding that mercury and magnesium may compete for the receptor sites in the thyroid. So I'm taking the magnesium and I'm building up to higher levels. And I think my magnesium, when I last had it tested, was around a 4.5. And I believe that I read in one of your articles that it's optimal to be somewhere above a 6. And so I just have a couple of questions.
Well, hang on, Karen. Let me just comment. You give me a lot of good information here. Now, when you said mercury and magnesium, they compete for receptor sites on the thyroid, do you know more about that? Or, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, okay. Well, it could just be that I'm interpreting the information that it's an integrative nurse practitioner who ran a number of blood tests once she discovered that my T3 levels were low. I have like a free T3 of like 2.46 and a T3 level around like a 77.
Okay, well, yes, let me just again interrupt. What mercury can block thyroid receptors. Magnesium doesn't. Magnesium helps the thyroid conversion of the hormones. So magnesium is necessary for the thyroid to work properly, and magnesium can also help remove mercury. I'm just going to jump in and say, and you may have read in my Remag and Remite books, that the Remite will help that T4 to T3 conversion, and usually it's driven by selenium. So in the Remite, you have some iodine, selenium, and 7 other minerals that are important in the production of thyroid hormones. So we have people who, you're not on thyroid hormones yet, but a lot of people on thyroid hormone replacement are able to get off their thyroid hormones because they support their thyroid with all those minerals. With mercury in your system, you're pretty young to have mercury fillings. Did you have mercury fillings when you were a kid?
I had some mercury fillings when I was in college, and I've since had them removed. But they did it with the proper protocol. So it could be, though, that there's still mercury in my system. The amount of mercury is at like a level that's like a 6, and I guess the regular, the spectrum of the levels it says is like 0 to 11, and then 11 plus was flagged as high. But my practitioner is more of a functional medicine practitioner, and she said, even though you're not above an 11, obviously a 6 is still that it's present. And I think that's what she had said as well, that the magnesium I just really needed to increase because I was deficient and to try to combat the mercury. So I'm really grateful that I found a practitioner locally who is kind of in alignment. She had originally had me taking a magnesium in the form of a pill, and the strong laxative effect is what led me to, like, it feels like almost a miracle, like find your website and find a different way to take the magnesium. And then I discovered the Remite. And I just wanted to add to this that I had a hormonal IUD for birth control purposes for a couple of years, and I took that out a couple of months ago because I was having some like insomnia, kind of like hot flashes at night and fatigue, and I thought the only thing that I was taking was this, this IUD, so I decided to remove it, and my progesterone levels are still low. I think they're still reacclimating, and I've also heard that progesterone helps potentially conversion of T4 to T3, and I was just wondering, in addition to taking ashwagandha and like chaste tree, which my acupuncturist has me on, is there anything else to help really kind of, balance out those hormones? Because I realized that the adrenals and the sex hormones and the thyroid are just also interrelated.
Right, they are. Was your IUD a copper IUD or a progesterone IUD?
No, and unfortunately it was a progesterone, and I hadn't been on birth control pills prior to that, and I regret having used the IUD, but I did, so...
That's okay. But what I'll say is, the Remag, Remite, ashwagandha, and chaste tree, that's fine. Just give it a few months. Don't overwhelm your system with a whole bunch of things, because you can throw it over to the opposite extreme. Your body knows what you want, so I would just let things transpire as they will. Ashwagandha is just a basic, it's like a balancer, so it's not going to force anything. What I would say, though, is you could use our Realign, which is for heavy metal detoxification. It promotes the production of glutathione, which is the body's antioxidant, and it will help bind up your mercury. And certainly the Remag is going to be helping that too, dumping mercury out of the cells. The iodine in the Remite is also good for dumping mercury. And partly, this will be a new bit of information for Ginny as well, but partly why some people don't do well on iodine is when they take iodine, it starts stirring up their mercury that's being held in storage, stirs up mercury, brings it out, brings it into the bloodstream, and then people react to their mercury. So that's why we talk about using Remite and Remag slowly, starting with a quarter teaspoon. So
okay. So just start with a quarter teaspoon, and then and should I gradually increase the quarter teaspoon a day?
Yes, it's all written on the guidelines that you'll get with your package or in the booklet. The protocol is all written out. Yeah, it's pretty easy to follow.
Okay. And then the last question is related to, I was told I have a iron deficiency. My ferritin levels are low, and my doctor had said that having like some sort of meat with iron in it a couple times a week was a good way to try to increase the iron. Do you suggest that, or do you have other ideas?
If you can get a free-range, hormone-free, antibiotic-free meat, it is the best way to get your iron. Iron pills are constipating. If people won't take meat or liver, there are liquid iron remedies that you can use. But if you're okay with taking an animal protein, that's how you'll get your iron back. But with ferritin levels low, sometimes the iron goes low to protect the person from infection. Do you think you have any level of yeast overgrowth?
I'm not sure at this point. Last year I had recurring urinary tract infections, and I had unfortunately had to take antibiotics. And after taking the antibiotic, the doctor told me to take this, antifungal pill, and so I did. But my digestion and my bowel movements and everything actually feel pretty good, but I'm sure that there could still be, yeast going on just as I'm recuperating. I've done a cleanse, but I still feel like I'm recuperating from those antibiotics from last year. Yeah, because, if there's no other reason for you to have low iron and low ferritin, then you do have to kind of consider low-grade infection, which could be yeast. And it would be, a simple matter of avoiding sugar, gluten, and dairy, and taking a good probiotic and eating a lot of garlic, basic yeast things. And I'm sure your practitioner would be able to help you with that. Okay, and do you ever suggest progesterone creams like wild yam creams for progesterone level balance, or do you think that I should just try to... Okay.
No, not for someone not in your 30s where it was, caused by synthetic progesterone just throwing you off. within 3 to 6 months, your body will be back, and then you won't be, teeter-tottering between too much progesterone and not enough. Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good questions, Karen. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, very good. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. More fun people in North Carolina. They're just so chitty-chatty tonight, Carolyn. All right, let's go to area code 704. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, Dr. Dean and Jenny. It's Roseanne. How are y'all?
Oh, Roseanne, hi. We're good. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me come on the call. I was listening to a couple of folks here tonight, like with the lady that works in California as a fireman. She had a lot of good things to say. And I think I just wanted to follow up on a few things I haven't been on for a while. And I guess with me specifically, I have been off the magnesium, I think, for about a month, as well as my mom. And I could tell you, I could certainly feel the difference. And it was just because I wasn't able to purchase it during that time, and I always purchase it for my mom as well. Well, my mom had gone back into the hospital. So it was probably actually 2 months she was out with magnesium. So you know her story. I've been coming on and off about it. She was doing very well. So she actually went back in the hospital, and, they were telling her blood pressure was high. She had some fluid in her lungs because she was dealing with a congestive heart failure. So the magnesium kind of kept things intact for her. And then they were talking about her kidneys were slowing down. So, of course, they just gave her a lot of medicine. And she was in the hospital. Of course, she's yelling at them, saying she's not going to take the medicine. But you have to know my mom. They said she's very difficult to work with. She won't take it. And I said, well, I mean, that's her choice, right? They said, yeah. But you should talk. They go, yeah, but you should talk to her. I said, no, I'll let her make her own rules, I said, because it's really her body. And as long as, they said, okay, well, we're going to send her home because she's not taking it. So they sent her home, and I ended up buying the magnesium, and I sent it to her. So she's been on it for a couple of weeks. So she's been stable. So I'm just relaying this to you because, as you well know, it seems like she goes off of it. Some of her problems come back. When she's on it, she's always, it seems to be in good hands. So it was kind of, but she's doing okay right now. She's stable. But it's just like for me, I mean, one of the reasons that magnesium, I mean, I haven't really had any issues. The only thing I've been dealing with, I think, in the past couple of years was the cracking of my knee. I've been a runner for years. And I had one time I was talking to you and I on that's what he said, no, you can keep running, because I really thought I had to stop. He just says, take more of the electrolytes, the magnesium, the Realign. So my story, being a runner, loving to run, I'm still going out almost every day, running a couple miles. I run uphill, downhill. I normally always run on the dirt, but my knee does not crack anymore. I mean, for all the people out there, I'm just like, I noticed, too, when I went off the magnesium, I could feel just a little bit of anxiety. As soon as I went on it, I would tell you in a day how calm I feel. And I'm not really a person that has anxiety, but I could just feel the calmness. And every day, I'm so happy to have it. I'm just like, it's amazing how it just keeps everything just, and I've got stress on in my life, but it just keeps you very calm during all these stressful times. So.
Right. Yes, over the weekend I'm writing a new booklet on anxiety, and it's just like that, where people will say, I do the Remag and I can cope. Remag isn't going to make the horrors go away, but it allows you to cope. And I think the difference between people who cope and who can cope is the amount of magnesium they have available to their bodies. And like Ginny said in her blog, if we have 25,000 milligrams of magnesium in our body, and if we're draining that and not replacing it, it takes a while to build that up. And if we have enough reserve, then we go through a stressful time, our body will be able to cope. So, magnesium is very important for any type of anxiety.
I know if I could walk around, and I do, I talk about it all the time. I've gotten quite a few people to buy it and purchase it by just talking about it over and over. They can see my passion, when I'm talking. But for instance, just like the young girls, my daughter's 25. She's going to get married here in October. Now, she's going through a stressful year. She's got a lot of weddings to be in, blah, blah, blah. She works full-time. And like she called me this evening, and finally she texted me back, "Thanks, Mom, for being so calm, why I'm so crazy," right? And I have been putting magnesium in her house for over a year. She just doesn't have time. But the funny thing is, it's when I see that and I hear that from these young girls because they are taking birth control pills, and I see them, because I remember when I used to be young and I used to be up and down, and I'm like, gosh, magnesium would just be the answer if I could just get in her body. And, of course, I put it only in the refrigerator, let her do her thing. But she sees that in me. She sees the calmness, and I know it could happen to a lot of these young girls who taken the birth control, who their hormones are up and down. Because everybody I have suggested, everybody I've suggested to and took it, everybody tells me it's just amazing how it calms me down. And we're in such stressful times. It couldn't be more perfect when we're going through these times. So it's all good, and I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's great, Roseanne. Thank you. And it gave me a chance to talk about my latest book. and
I'm excited to see the Restructure. I can't wait.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm very excited, too. Okay, Roseanne, thank you. Say hi to your mom for me.
Oh, I will. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Thanks, everybody, for calling in and making the show so exciting and dynamic. And now, Carolyn, I think we've got to do a couple chat room questions, and we've got to get to our mailbag because I think it's overflowing, and we didn't even get to it last week. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, okay, very good. It's kind of our cup runneth over here. Okay, let's see. What we're going to do is some of these questions I've just kind of been asking. Okay, Dr. Dean, I just joined the program and your conversation. Would you have any suggestions of a specific protocol for Morgellons sufferers?
Yeah, we get that question in customer service. I was going to answer it offline because Morgellons is such a it's a rare disease, and I really don't know how to treat it. So I'll have to look at it, research it a little bit before I answer by email.
Okay, very good. Excellent. All right, and let's see. My doctor asked me exactly what kind of magnesium Remag is, and then read me a laundry list of what happens when you take too much magnesium. What is that, diarrhea? Is that the only thing on the list? I don't know. Dr. D, can you give me a proper response? That's just so retarded. I can't even take it.
Yeah. Well, it's a magnesium chloride. It's the most common form of magnesium. It's 300 milligrams per teaspoon. Show the doctor the label. All they think of magnesium is that it's a laxative. They've never looked at it properly to know that it does anything else in the body. But tell them to read my Magnesium Miracle book and call me if he or she has any questions.
Right. Yeah. Okay, very good. Let's see. I think we've got a lot of people taken care of. Kim seems to have like a fungus on her toe, and she's got painful bone spurs and these kinds of things. And she has had some improvement since she's been using the Remag. So would you say fungus in toe is definitely yeast overgrowth indicator, Carolyn?
It usually is, yes, and people will spray oregano oil on that type of toe or tea tree oil for the bone spurs. Actually, I had an email from Mitzi, our 89-year-old, and on the East Coast there, maybe Boston area, who she sprayed Remag on her bunion for I don't know how long it took, but it took her bunion pain away. So spray Remag on your bone spurs.
Very good. Excellent. All right, let's go to our mailbag, Carolyn, see if we can't get some of those knocked out here in the next few minutes. And we'll keep the lines open at 602-666-6027. If you do have a question or comment, you've got to hit star 5 on your keypad, and we'll see if we can't get you on before the end of the show. But let's do some mailbag things, Carolyn.
Okay, good. Question from a mom. Do you have a recommendation for a young 10-year-old boy who's on Ritalin for attention deficit disorder? What kind of protocol would you suggest for turning around the need for the drug? Basically, it is magnesium. In their bathtub, you can put a couple of cups of Epsom salt and then also take the Remag in some sort of liquid or moderately hot, not a boiling hot soup or something to hide the taste. I do have someone who told me that she was sad that the flavored Remag was no longer available, and she says, we add a tiny bit of organic stevia extract powder from Trader Joe's and 2 to 3 to 4 drops of raspberry or ginger extract from Nature's Answer, bought at Vitamin Shop for the taste of Remag. But yes, for a 10-year-old, magnesium absolutely necessary. Sometimes that's all the kid needs. If there's a weight issue, overweight issue, which might indicate some low thyroid, then you would add the Remite as well. So basically it's building up some Remag and Remite. You can look up the RDA for magnesium for kids. A 10-year-old boy, it's probably around 200 to 250 milligrams. So that's just under a teaspoon of Remag a day. So basically Remag and Remite. The second question from the same person, I'd like to hear you discuss the pros and cons of a low-sodium diet. How important is it for someone with high blood pressure not to have too much salt? Well, that's all about the table salt, sodium chloride, versus the sea salt. It is very important for anybody, including someone with high blood pressure, to have sea salt with all the 72 minerals. It's also important to have Remag to bring the blood pressure down. I mean, I don't know if we've talked about blood pressure in this show, but just about every show someone will give us their testimonial about their blood pressure coming down with Remag. So a low-sodium diet, I don't know how medicine got into it, but it is probably because people love the taste of salt, but when they get a sodium chloride table salt that's refined out of sea salt, then they're throwing the balance in favor of too much sodium. And the whole treatment of high blood pressure with a low-sodium diet, putting people on diuretics, like squishing the very life liquid out of them, does not really change the picture that much. What really helps is hydrating the cells, taking enough sea salted water, and Remag, and Remite helps too, getting all those minerals and electrolytes inside the cell. And inside the cell, the minerals will pull the fluid out of the interstitial fluids, the edematous ankles and legs, etc., where fluid will build up when you don't have enough minerals. It's all about balancing the minerals. The next question, I've been using magnesium oil on my legs for the past 2 months to prevent muscle spasms. I use a spray, probably 10 to 15 drops of oil on each leg, rub it in until it, blah, blah, blah. My question is, is that considered to be a magnesium infusion into the cells? Is it the same as drinking the Remag or taking a pill? what's happening there is, oh gosh, what is it? I think it's a whole teaspoon of magnesium oil might have 2,500 milligrams of magnesium, and maybe 10% of that is absorbed. So it would take a teaspoon to get 250 milligrams. So 10 to 15 drops is really not going to do very much at all. If you want to prevent muscle spasms, you do take the Remag. It's much better absorbed than any pills or powders or other liquids. And you take it orally, 1 to 2 teaspoons, maybe 2 or 3 teaspoons in the beginning. Put in your sea salted water and sip through the day. You can also spray the Remag directly, or pour a little Remag in your hand and rub your legs. It is going to take some time to build up the magnesium in your muscles into the reserve. We've learned tonight that there's 25,000 milligrams of magnesium in the body. So if you're depleted enough that your muscles are in spasm, then you have to build up that magnesium to avoid the spasm. Okay, the next, I got Dr. Dean's book, The Magnesium Miracle. So here's my question. It says it is safe for anyone to take magnesium supplementation unless there is kidney disease. Now, what I say in the book is the contraindications of magnesium that are bandied about, so I have to say them. It says for people in kidney failure, on dialysis, they have to watch their magnesium supplementation. But in the Remag book, I really do talk about the safety of properly absorbed magnesium, which is Remag, and the absolute requirement for magnesium in kidney disease. You can Google my name and kidney disease and magnesium and find my articles, find my blogs, and then I usually reference 2 long articles on kidney disease and the necessity of magnesium that the kidney doctors ignore. And then this person goes back to talk about her mom, who's 95. I think actually I read this. It was part of my the elderly go into hospital and come out disabled. So yes, this person really got so much better just by doing the Remag. So I don't have to do that anymore. And what she did say as well that I want to mention, her mom had a urinalysis test and they found some albumin in the urine, but her creatinine, blood creatinine, was normal. But now they're trying to say that she's got a kidney problem because she's losing albumin. And what I say is the microalbumin creatinine ratio is due to kidney artery calcification. So she needs magnesium to dissolve the calcium in her arteries. And I'm going to be mentioning this more and more about the artery calcification. There's coronary artery calcification leading to angina, heart attack, and hypertension. There's carotid neck artery calcification leading to stroke. Then there's kidney artery calcification leading to kidney disease, where they find elevated creatinine levels and or albumin in the urine, and then they declare you have kidney disease. But there's no treatment for kidney disease at this level except to tell you to not take magnesium, which is horrible advice. Or they say, and I see all the articles now, they say, oh, someone with kidney disease, they really should be on statins. Oh, someone with kidney disease, they really should be on diabetes medications preventively, because they say people with kidney disease, they develop diabetes, they develop heart disease, so we have to get them on all these preventive drugs. But what it's just reflecting is the kidney artery calcification, magnesium deficiency, and then once you start taking these drugs, it's like the prediction comes true because those drugs make you more magnesium deficient. So, yes, I answered this person because she was saying, is it safe to take Remag if they're saying she has kidney problems? And I'd say I personally would give Remag to anyone with any condition. And she should use some Remite as well for the other minerals to help heal the damage caused by the years of meds, as well as I would recommend taking Realign and RNA drops. I will turn back to Ginny now to see if she has anything exciting on her end before I continue with the mailbag.
Excellent. No, I'm just here chitty-chatting with chat line people and typing away, sending out Restructure books and texting Susanna, and I hope Susanna is looking at her telephone. Look at your phone pad. Look at your text, Susanna. That's what I'm doing. So, yes, proceed with the mailbag.
Okay. Proceeding. Here's an AFib question. So this person says, I came across your information while researching Dr. McCullough's website. And, yeah, there's a lot of magnesium information on Dr. McCullough's site. Thank you very much, Dr. McCullough. Long story short, I've had AFib for 20 years. I'm 54. I took Flecainide, and that's the antiarrhythmia drug that has 6 fluoride molecules that I say should be banned because it binds up magnesium. Okay, in April of this year, I went into slight AFib. It was just a discomfort with an occasional bout where I would just rest for a day. I was praying that it would just pass. Just prior to going on vacation, decided to refill my prescription of Tambocor. Now, is that the Flecainide? Let me just look. I forgot to look that up. Or I did and I forgot. Yeah, Tambocor is a brand name for Flecainide. Since it wasn't refilled in 3 years, I had to see my primary doctor. This couldn't be done before we left. While on vacation, I was feeling miserable. I decided to go to the ER. 2 days later, I'm out with prescriptions for Eliquis and Diltiazem. I was going to make this my life project and control this and not let it control me. So then she talks about her research. She found my book, Atrial Fibrillation, Remineralize Your Heart. She started a journal. Okay. She's taking a jigsaw, magnesium, some calcium, arginine, CoQ10, ubiquinol, taurine, kyolic, hawthorn berry, spirulina. See, there's so many things that are being recommended out there. So then, having read some more literature, I learned that too much calcium can have a detriment on the body. I was concerned I could have a buildup of calcium, thus the mitral valve prolapse. She had mitral valve prolapse in the late 90s, so she decided to eliminate calcium. Okay, so she's having leg cramps as well. So I answered her. Because she said she stopped the calcium and had leg cramps that night. I said, if you stop the calcium all at once without weaning off, you could have a bit of a backlash. I don't know how much magnesium you're absorbing from the one you're taking. I personally would get my magnesium RBC blood test and not take any magnesium 12 hours before the test. I personally would follow my AFib recommendations of Remag and Remite, take them for at least 3 months to start getting saturated with magnesium properly. I would personally not, I say personally because I'm trying to walk the line here between giving medical recommendations. I would not take calcium except 600 milligrams from my diet. And I would, I think she was just taking meds when she felt worse. I would not seesaw my meds. It's best to take a low dose consistently so your body doesn't go into withdrawal or overload in a seesaw fashion. As you've read in the AFib book or as you can listen to my radio shows, archives, it takes time for a person to learn why they are magnesium deficient and to adjust. It could be certain foods, stresses, meds, calcium, not absorbing enough magnesium, or even too many other supplements that are not necessary. Be sure, and so then I got an answer back. I'll be sure and maintain the consistency in my supplements to avoid the seesaw effect. After much research, I've figured my ailments can be attributed to stress and improper diet. I've never smoked or drank, so I believe that this to be a factor in my longevity. People in my line of work usually die young with stroke or heart attack. So that was interesting. I mean, basically, I've written it all out in the AFib book, and I just really tell people, follow the AFib book. It's all there, and then come and ask your questions on the radio show. Let me see what else. We don't have that much longer left, so some of these cases are just so long. What I'll have to do is go through them and sort them out before the show. One is about osteoporosis, and this person is saying, today I had a visit with my doctor. She showed me the results of my DEXA test. That's an osteoporosis bone density test, which is minus 3.4 and minus 3.7 for the spine and hip. She says she does not think this is due to any parathyroid problem, rather because I'm a 68-year-old thin, very thin white woman. I was going to say very white woman, but very thin white woman. She wants me to take one of the medicines prescribed for this condition. So I said, I know they say that the results are in the osteoporosis range, but they also admit the scale is equated to the bones of a 30-year-old. I've written about studies of Native women whose bones also thin with age, but by keeping up their muscle strength and flexibility, their bones are protected. About the parathyroids, it's important in the face of osteoporosis, especially when they want to give you drugs, to really rule out hyperparathyroidism with an ionized calcium test and parathyroid levels. She says, I've been on your Remag and Remite for a couple of months. I've worked my way up to about a teaspoon each day and just began to back off a bit due to my face breaking out with bumps. I'm not sure if there's a connection. I said, Remag can detox the body, and the iodine in Remite can do the same. Try increasing your Remag again to see if it's Remag or Remite enhancing the detox. And I also should have said 1 teaspoon a day is not therapeutic for building back your bone strength. The wonderful thing is I'm sleeping much better. I'd like to know if I can reverse this problem without the prescription medicine. I said it's the Remag, Remite in your salted water, and exercise, and a very positive attitude that will help. And I sent a report, actually, a blog I did about a very elderly woman who increased her bone density on the Remag and Remite. It's a blog called Build Better Bones. I'm going to go back to Ginny and see if she's got anything to add.
I do have, it looks like I've got another couple callers. Do you want to continue with the mailbag, or you want to take some phone calls?
Let's take a phone call.
Okay. Let's go to area code 504, the great state of Louisiana. Oh, my gosh, it's a little wet down there, eh? Oh, they just turned up. All right, Louisiana, call back if you want to talk with Dr. Dean tonight, 602-666-6021. And we'll get you back, 6027. I don't know where that came from. And we'll get you back on the phone here with Dr. Dean. Okay, let's see. Very good, Carolyn. We shall press on.
Press on. Okay, get it organized here then for pressing on. This question is, looks like a testimonial. Most of my family are on Remag. I have many friends who are now taking it, feeling the benefits. Some have had their lives changed, including me. My neighbor who has rheumatoid psoriasis keeps coming around for more. His lesions have diminished markedly. I myself am a new woman since regularly supplementing. My multitude of symptoms have all disappeared. My husband is on the verge of glaucoma, having the same test result of 21 millimeters pressure of mercury for 15 years. His last test showed an unprecedented drop of 2 points to 19 millimeters. The only change he's made to his diet is adding magnesium. We're hoping his next test shows further drop. His eye doctor says it's inevitable he will get glaucoma, but he intends to prove her wrong. Thank you for all your work and dedication. I think the Achilles heel of magnesium is that it affects most diseases known to man, and the public just doesn't believe it can do what it does. Hopefully with more MDs and NDs such as yourself spreading the word, there will come a time when everybody will know about this marvelous mineral. I think nutrition, vitamins, and minerals should be taught in school, what with saving lives, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that makes me think of, how we've positioned our REMAG because, we cut out the middleman in our marketing. I wanted to make the price of REMAG low enough that everybody could afford it, which means it's not available wholesale for medical doctors and naturopathic doctors to sell in their offices. So, for the most part, they are not getting involved because they don't want to sell something that they don't make a profit on. I mean, it's just good business, right? So I'm afraid I'm not really afraid, but when people say hopefully more MDs and MDs will spread the word, they won't unless they can make a profit off my REMAG, and that's just not going to be possible. When somebody tried to do a REMAG at 60,000 parts per million, first of all, it didn't work for them, but when they first started to sell it, they were selling it for $70 a bottle. So we know how expensive it is, and you folks are fortunate to be able to get it at that price because otherwise if I sold it through doctors' offices, which is, I suppose, a much more lucrative way to market, you would, I think half the people would be taking it as they're taking it now. But anyway, that's kind of more a business topic. So let me go to arthritis. And we just have a few more minutes. Can the products help with nerve and inflammation like arthritis and backaches? I don't know I don't know if English is the first language here, but I think, can the products help with inflammation and nerve pain from arthritis? Typical physician drugs on the complicator cause secondary problems. We are looking for natural relief of joint and backache. So I say yes, REMAG is an important treatment for arthritis and nerve inflammation. Here are some excerpts from my Magnesium Miracle Book 2017 edition that's not yet out. I said to be sure and read the REMAG book, use REMAG and Remite and sea salt in the water. And, what happened with my previous editions of the Magnesium Miracle Book, I had not written much about arthritis, but there have been studies and certainly just incredible number of testimonials from people who, using magnesium instead of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, have found incredible benefits. I even put in the case of a patient or customer with psoriatic arthritis, age 47. She tried everything to reduce the inflammation in her body, diets, coconut oil, all kinds of supplements, including magnesium, and she was on medications. But finally she she was given the Remag by a friend, and almost overnight she experienced relief from her symptoms. So yes, arthritis is definitely something that will be benefited by not just magnesium, but the Remag magnesium, which is so well absorbed. So that's
Carolyn.
Arthritis. Yes, dear.
I think our friend in Kindle might have a follow-up question about that email she sent you, so can I throw her on the line real quick?
Well, we've only got 1 minute, so I better do it by email. It's really not giving her any time at all.
Okay, excellent. All right, Kindle. Yep, sounds good.
Hey, Carolyn, if we only have 1 minute, I took the, whatever it was called, the Restructure 30 years ago for many decades. What's different?
It's got more lysine. It's got the RNA drops powder. All the ingredients are organic, non-GMO. So it's kind of fine-tuned. It's improvement from the previous formulas.
What was their formula? What did it have? Can you say?
Well, it had everything that we have, but we've upgraded and improved it.
Well, no, it didn't have the drops. What did it have before the drops, before the lysine?
Everything else.
What?
I read it out. I told you the pea powder, rice powder, whey powder, tapioca, inulin, marine algae oil, all that.
Okay. So do we have it yet?
No.
We haven't got it yet. Okay. The whey powder wasn't as good.
That's funny. Bob's all excited now.
I know. Bob's waking up to the fact that we've got a new product.
Yes, after a year. Yay, Bob. Welcome to the party. All right, everybody.
Thank you, Ginny, for filling in for me.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Ginny.
Thanks for carrying the ball there, Ginny.
Thanks, viewers.
Bye, guys.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com.
So if the merging of your chip body is taking place with your meat sac body, okay,